Well, all of the planning was done, and the next day I would get on the airplane and make my way to Southern California to start the Pacific Crest Trail. So, got everything packed up, everything mailed that I needed to mail, and I was ready to go. The hardest part, in some ways, was saying goodbye to my pets, Charlotte and Annie. Anyway, I was able to say goodbye and get my gear together and get in the car on my way to the airport in Seattle. Since I live on the Olympic Peninsula, getting to the airport was easiest by first taking a ferry into downtown Seattle. I was pretty impressed with the new terminal that had been built since the last time I'd taken that ferry, and it's always a beautiful trip to come into downtown Seattle on the state ferry system. Waiting for me on the other side was my very first trail angel, Valerie. She was kind enough to pick me up at the ferry, put me up at her house that night, and then drive me to the airport the very next day. Wow, thank you so much, Valerie. This trip wouldn't have been the same without your help. Thank you. It had been a long time since I'd been on an airplane, but I successfully got through security and boarded the plane, and got on there with a lot of other passengers. I was in the middle seat. I remembered to wear my mask the whole time on the way there, and even was able to look out the window a little bit. There's Mount Rainier, which I'd be passing later on. Of course, there was always the wonderful lunchtime snacks that they give you on the airplane. And, you know, this was one of the peaks down in Southern California that I thought I was going to maybe be hiking over. I was able to get off the plane successfully with all my gear and made it to the Old Town Transit Center shuttle. I think it was called the Flyer. And while I was waiting for that, I was noticing the palm trees that were all around, which are unique to California compared to the Pacific Northwest. But I was also nervous a little bit about making it in time to get to the shuttle. I only had an hour and a half from the time the plane landed till I was to be picked up at the Southern Terminus shuttle. And the tricky part was that the plane was running just a little bit late, and then of course I had to wait for that shuttle. But I did make it. In fact, I made it with a whole 3 minutes to spare before they were going to take off. So it was fun to briefly meet the people that I'd be starting the trail with. And then from the shuttle spot at the Old Town Transit Center, they first took us to REI to pick up a few things. At that spot, I was able to get some fuel canisters, things that I couldn't take on the plane, and sign in at the little PCT welcome display. And along with some of my other fellow travelers, we also put pins in the map from where we were from. Eventually, the shuttle took us to the post office, where I was able to pick up a package I'd mailed to myself of things I wasn't sure could be taken on the plane in the check-on. And so it was a pretty large box. I'm going to carry all that. Holy cow. Here we go. So I made it to CLEEF. I've got a few things set up, and here's what the PCT area looks like. Let me turn it around for you. You can see, well, it's kind of a wide angle lens there. You can see all the tents there on the left. And if you look closely behind that power pole in the distance, that's near where I'm starting. That's the border. Anyway, I'll show you a close-up of the tents in just a moment. Well, here's the tent area for PCT hikers. Mine is the green one there. It's partway open. Some more over here. And in the back is the cabana where everybody hangs out. That's where I'm going right now. This is just a quick clip to show you where my tent was located in the midst of all that. It's that green pointy one there. One of the traditions at CLEEF is to sign a banner with the rest of your classmates for the 2025 in this case. And here's my signature. This is before I got my trail name of Old Goat. On that banner was also Marmalade, his signature. And he's a pretty famous PCT vlogger on YouTube. He happened to be there at the spot and giving some talks. I got a picture of him. And I also got to chat with him for quite a while. It was really fun. He had a lot of good advice. Well, that's about it for this episode. Tomorrow, or the next day, I got to start on the trail. And so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.